You are listening to the Decipher podcast, hosted by the Super Bash Brothers. Alright, we back.
Yeah, we back.
Super Bash Brothers, Mappy and Rictor here.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to do another episode and talk to you about what?
We're going to talk about how to support your passion as a creative, as more in general terms as a creative, like if you want to pursue like music producing, or a dancer, a dance teacher, or a photographer, or a graphic designer, anything that's like DJ in a creative sense. Like, how can you support it when you can't do it full time quite yet? Do you want to quit your job full time and then go all in, or do you want to work part time at a job and then, work on your business afterwards?
Yeah, like kind of juggling both. Like, you're gonna progress in it because it's new, but you have to maintain still something that's going to pay the bills and everything else.
Because it's tough. Like I've done, I personally have been teaching full time. I can't even remember. It's like over 10 years now. I don't know. Do you think it's over 10?
I'd say for sure 10 years.
Yeah.
Minimum.
And I started with one class at a small studio with barely any students. And then, I got lucky and got a job at Dance Makers, and that gave me an opportunity to quit my job.
Your day job.
My day job, yeah. And I was already transitioning. I guess I used to work at eBay, and I was doing that like 9 to 5 grind. That was my last 9 to 5 desk job.
Yeah.
And then that got let go, and I was doing a bunch of random things. But at the time, I was already dancing, so I was like, "We'll go to work at 9 to 5, and then, go have dinner or whatever, and then dance and go to dance rehearsal." So that was, a few years. I wasn't a full-time dancer then, and then now I'm getting to do it, and it's, for me as a full-time creative or someone that does photography on the side and all this stuff, it's work,
Yeah.
And it's still, for me, I feel like I'm still trying to adjust. And it shouldn't be. I should be in the flow already because I've been doing it for so long. But it doesn't feel like work sometimes. Like I can have a late day, and and then because my work is opposite of everybody's.
Yeah, your schedule.
Yeah, but that's for a dancer. But you're currently like in the working and then supporting your passion after the type grind. You know,
definitely. I'm definitely in that boat where I have a day job. It takes up most of my time and energy, and then I do all my passion stuff afterwards. It works around that.
Yeah. Because I'm sure you want to just do all the things that you love doing it all day, every day. Right?
Yeah, I wish those things brought enough money in to not have to do the other things. But
enough in consistency.
But I've been doing that for so long now. I think all my other hobbies or passions have gotten up to a certain skill level now that I'm going to have to take a jump sooner or later. When you start off in something, it progresses a lot. You get really good at it fast because there's so much ground to gain. Mm-hmm. Yeah, did I say that right? I was like, wait, did I even say that right? Anyways, so there's so much to learn. So you're just engulfed in it. You're your new passion. You're doing it. You're loving it. You're learning. So when you've done it for so long, you start learning less, but you're still learning, but you just learn less in abundance. So I'm kind of at that stage where I got to take a big leap of faith sooner or later, because now, I maxed out a lot of gains in each other facet. Mm-hmm. So the only other thing I can do now is really just try to just make a living off of it or something like that, I guess.
To support it for right now.
It's tough, man.
Yeah.
Living out here in this market, it makes it even more scary.
Yeah.
I don't want to say harder because I think it's hard anywhere, right?
Yeah, maybe talk to the audience of what the things that you do on the side, like, so they kind of get an idea. So what else? So you're producing music.
Yeah. So music production, video, motion graphics.
Graphic design,
web
design, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Not as much
web design, coding, software coding. So kind of like, yeah, just all digital, a lot of digital, and then music. I'd say music and media.
What do you think are the steps to like? Is there steps? Is there? How do you know when you're ready to go all in? Is there a time? Is there like a? Okay, I've got enough money saved up. Let me finally go all in.
Take a leap of faith. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if there's a sign or there's just a moment or. Man, I've been doing it for so long. I haven't seen no sign.
Right.
Really said, hey.
I think maybe one of the things could be like establishing like a base of clientele that you can like live off of. Let's say you're a graphic web designer or a graphic designer, so you have booked a client and you're all maintaining their website and that's kind of consistent. You get a couple, hundreds a month from it, and then you build more and more clientele, and then you're like at that point where your workload is so much that you need to quit you have to quit your other job because it's and you're earning enough money that you can be like, okay, maybe I can do this. I can like quit my day job and pursue this entrepreneurship or like this side hustle that becomes your full-time hustle.
I think depending upon what it is you're doing, it could be done in that format or that formula, but it just varies. I think web itself is just different. Nowadays, Squarespace, all these other sites, services where they give the user the power to do the updates and do the maintenance. It's harder to get that upcharge now for stuff like that. So I guess in general, it's really just everything's moving so much, right? Like web technology is progressing and changing so much at its own rate, and then you still have video, like what's hot, what people like on the fade ins and the move ins and stuff, like what's hot now. You have to stay up with that. So there's just so much going on. I think it's really hard to keep on top of that wave of each little facet. So
of what you're doing.
Yeah,
especially for you, like you have so many multiple disciplines that you're trying to do with your thing
on my side hustle. They're all intertwined, I guess. So I have to be at least proficient in most of them.
See, for me, like I just know a little bit of what I need to get by to run my business and my own personal, like not personal, but my own businesses that have brands, like, so I know to put together like graphic design, so I don't have to outsource and pay exactly. So much money, because especially in the beginning. But I think also like staying up with your craft, like what you're doing, what you're saying essentially while you're working, so when you go full time, you have the skills already, like picking up like all these projects on the side that you can like work on your graphic design or your web design or your music production, like, but stay on it. Like I would say like just continue to like work and then put in those extra hours at night, even if you maybe have to sacrifice a couple parties, to like sit down and code and sit down and write some music and do some stuff and maintain some clientele until you build up. Because and I mean, for some people as well, like maybe when they're halfway through, I don't know what the gauge is. When they're halfway through, they're almost like, I just need I need more time now to create. But the 9-to-5 hustle is like preventing me from like in the way. So like, there's so many different platforms of making money now. Like you can do Uber. You can Uber, or like I know one of my friends picked up like wagging, like he would walk dogs and stuff like that, and he was making some decent money from it. Or like DoorDash, just delivering food, like
Grubhub, all that.
Grubhub, and then you can like earn some money to keep afloat, and then work on your side project. But sometimes that's not enough, especially out here in the Bay Area.
Exactly.
Jesus. it's like so tough,
Yeah, it's hard, especially out here. I mean, things are just moving so fast, and in many different directions.
Yeah.
I guess in terms of juggling both passions, I wanted to ask you more about your eBay time. Like, you already had the idea of doing dance full time back then, so you were doing your 9 to 5 job, and you were like, I want to do dance full time.
Yeah.
And then you switched from that to the other job at the
camera store.
I don't want to say the name.
Yeah, they're not around anymore.
Yeah. But so that transition was part of the plan, or it just kind of happened that way? I guess, you know what I mean. That's
a good question. I don't know if it's part of the plan, but
do you taper it down, or did it just kind of happen? I guess
for me, it was happening, and some of it was happening in a bad way, not necessarily in a. Looking at it now, it's a blessing that it happened, but at the time, it was like, fuck, I lost my job at eBay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was comfy. It's comfy as fuck, dude. Like, looking back, where did that money go? Shit. What?
A lot of us have that. About the 20s.
Especially in their 20s. Like, people were at eBay were like, how old are you? And you're like, what? Yeah. I didn't know what to do with it. But, I mean, at the time when I lost the job, I was like, okay, I guess I can dance more. It sucked, but, it gave me opportunity to, like, add more things on my plate, keeping me busy, and then other jobs would fall through, and it made me kind of land my first official teaching gig, like full time. But I was teaching these random classes here and there, and not really making much.
And that was after the eBay. That was during camera time.
Yeah.
So while you're doing that, you're finding like the random teaching gigs.
Yeah, but that wasn't enough to be full time.
Yeah, but then so like I was saying, at eBay moment, you already knew you wanted to. That kind of just propelled it to the point of.
Yeah, I think maybe subconsciously I did. I definitely enjoyed dancing. It wasn't like I didn't set a goal of like, I'm gonna end up.
Okay. Yeah.
But when I look back, maybe I should have if I gave my time. Okay, but
you were dancing when you're at eBay, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I was already like, I think in MOM at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Crazy. So
end.
So after that kind of, when that fell through, that's what propelled you towards that goal, and then basically during the camera stuff, that's when you were like, yo, I'm gonna do that for sure. Yeah. Like, I'm gonna make my bread and butter off this. That's dope. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the job kind of landed. I didn't really pursue it per se. The opportunities came, but me doing all these little gigs, teaching stuff, prepared me for that full time. If I didn't go through all those little things, I would have been very overwhelmed with the full time gig, because when I had to teach full time, I was teaching 20 plus hours. So like 4 or 5 classes a day, and there are competition groups and recreational groups. So I would have to come up with a different choreography in each, and I do that times 5, Monday to Friday.
And you're a new choreographer to that studio.
And I was a new choreographer.
So you had to show them a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot on the line, kind of, because I had to plug myself in, and it was a hard transition, and it was. But without all of that beforehand, I think it would have, I would have been very, very overwhelmed. Because now I have some teaching experience. I've had multiple experience. Now I have to like magnify it like 10 times, or 5 times technically. But for those creatives that are currently working a job and like picking up little projects here and there, that adds up. Like, that builds your skill. That builds, like, coding a simple website here will help, or taking on a portrait project as if you're a photographer. Like, your family's like, oh, I need a photographer to those things. Okay, $50 for that, like whatever, or for free. I encourage that. I'm still personally, I'm working on asking for money, like, especially with the homies and stuff like that, because
Especially when you do it for so long for free,
Yeah.
you start to be like, well,
and it's tough because it's nothing tangible. What we do is in our minds and in
and then
whatever.
it comes out.
You can't. It's not. You're not holding it. Like I'm talking about like dance and photography for me. There's nothing tangible there. So when you ask for money, it's weird for me to. I'm not giving you something that you paid for, like
Like food or
like food or a product,
toy.
like or clothing or some or a merchandise or something like that. It's a service, but you don't really ask Uncle Joe plumber to like, hey, come fix this, and like they're still professionals. So I need to get used to the mind that I'm a professional at what I do. Like this is what I do for a living, and I need to charge the money.
Yeah. It's be relatable to like a masseuse or something, right? Because it's like, yo, I'm helping you. I couldn't really just do this to help you, right? As a good person, but it's like, yo, you gotta pay me, man.
Yeah. Like dog trainers, things like that. Like what we do is we put in hours and hours of like research and learning about the craft. Like you mentioned earlier, like you got to keep up with it.
Yeah.
All that stuff. That because things evolve. Like
you're always moving.
Your own discipline, like graphic design evolve. Like dance evolves, music production evolves. Like all that is constantly changing with technology,
and
software, time.
Trends, things change over time like that.
Yeah, but that's my take on if you want to really, really get into from part-time to full-time creative, because we know a couple people that are freelance.
It's hard, man. It's hard, but it's doable. But it's hard as hell.
And when you get there, it's so dope because you set your own hours. You know what I mean? And if you can keep up with your clientele and the paperwork and all that stuff, like I struggle with that still, like because I'm also like doing all these different projects, but
doing so many other things.
But I'm really happy I get to do what I'm doing. Like, I just finished a whole week. I taught camp from 9 to 12, and then would have a lunch break and rest for a little bit and start the next day. It was taxing, cool. The
good old days almost.
Yeah, and at my age, it's like...
It sounds like the old days of dance makers.
Yeah, it's tough, and I'm tired, but, like, I had to remind myself, like, I'd rather do this than, dealing with someone else's bullshit at work.
Right.
Like I had some kids and they were so cute, and my commute's like an hour and a half to get to the studio.
One way. And then another hour going back. So I'm like, and I did that, I'm just finished my third week. It's taxing, when you're teaching kids or teaching like teens, it's not the physical aspect that's hard, it's the mental. The mental and emotional, because you can't lie to them. You have to give them the right energy.
Yeah, and you gotta put the energy in, like you're teaching, and that's hard. You could teach dance, but there's psychology behind different students and all that stuff. But
making sure each one gets it.
Yeah.
And changing out the styles of how you're delivering it.
Yeah, that's what makes me tired. It's not the physical dancing. I mean, it gets me tired, but the mental part of it. But we're going off topic.
Crazy. So yeah, I guess out of this, I just learned for myself.
Yeah.
I gotta just eventually take a jump. I guess really after hearing you label all the things, naming all the things, I'm gonna start figuring out how I should taper down, and then.
Wait, you do?
I should figure out.
Because you said it out loud.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit, I'm doing a lot.
Damn.
Yeah.
So just kind of like.
But you know what though?
Condensing it in some concise way.
But you know what though, Rick? It's like, it's so dope that you're doing all that stuff, but maybe not as a service for other people. Like you do it for like.
Yeah.
For you. That's me. Like I'll never offer graphic design because I know I can't. Like, I'll put it together for my own businesses.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to offer. I'll offer photography. I'll offer video, but all the other stuff, like, I'll keep it to me because I can use it as a resource for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
But with you, like, I know you like do it for everything. So, but it's great that you're like, your learning capabilities are like bananas. You're always constantly fucking learning.
You're getting bored.
But it all ties in.
Useful, yeah,
it all ties into what you do. It's just dope, you know.
Just try to make it useful, but yeah, I think from today that's what I learned. But then I can eventually make the jump once I have consolidated service. You know, then what's not service is not service. But at least I know that's not on the table for efforts for other people or whatever. So it's good. It's good for me. So I got out of this. Oops. No, that's what I got out of this. What about you?
Yeah, no, just to me, like, what I personally, as I'm like speaking out loud, is like the grind, just reminding me of like, I really just gotta buckle down and like get on my grind. I'm grinding, but like there's a whole nother level of grind that I need to be on to make money,
or at least familiar with.
Yeah, because that's what I need to really, really get down. And because I know that there's full-time creatives or entrepreneurs that are making dough.
Making low.
But that's what we don't see, is that the discipline and the work that they put in consistently every day, that's why they're at the level that they're at. For me, I'm sustaining. As I'm talking, or we're talking in the podcast, I know that I realize that I'm just sustaining where I'm at. I need to project higher. I do increments, and you can see like, okay, he's doing that, the work is getting better, but I need to take on, there's bigger projects that I know that I'm capable of. So that's why I might take away from like just talking out loud.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes talking things through, man, you kind of like gain a different perspective or a better handle on what you were looking at before. So it's definitely helpful.
Yeah.
I think we'll just wrap this one up.
Yeah.
Kind of got a little deep about, jumping from your day job to your passion. Mm-hmm. It's not easy. Find some support. It's definitely good to have homies to kind of talk through your ups and downs. It's not going to be easy, but
and ask us a question if
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's something that you wanted us to talk about and you heard on the podcast that you like, oh, you guys should elaborate more on that or something. More than happy to go through, because picking topics is very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah, it helps to know what you guys kind of want to hear us talk about too, because otherwise we'll just keep talking about super dance nerdy stuff. Anyways, till next time, we out. Super Bash Brothers. Peace. Thank you for listening to the Decipher podcast. Show your support by passing this episode along on your social media. If there are any topics you would like us to discuss on future episodes or feedback on this episode, please leave us a comment or message. Peace, positivity, and prosperity.